3D printing has been in discussion for technology for about the past 10 years. It has even become affordable enough to the point people have started buying them for personal use. You can even buy one online for as cheap as $180. This kind of affordability seemed near impossible when 3D printers were first being implemented. The uses for these devices vary, but some of the major factors that are important are cost effectiveness, environmentally sound, and flexible design. The three of these factors perk up anyone's ears. Technology that is cheap, environmentally safe, and allows creative freedom can open major doors within the business at hand. 3D printers use SLS, selective laser sintering, and FDM, fused deposition modeling, to make their top-tier products. What even is selective laser sintering and fused deposition modeling? Well, SLS is used when the 3D printer solidifies a photosensitive powdered polymer by hitting it with a powerful laser light. As for FDM, those machines melt thermoplastic polymeric filament that becomes solid once it cools. Like I've mentioned, this technology has been around for a little bit, but is starting becoming more accessible around 2008, when Shapeways was dropped onto the market. Shapeways is a company that allows the 3D marketplace, providing an open-source kit for creating 3D printers and products. 3D printing allows endless options for things to be made, from keychains to houses. You're probably thinking, houses? That's a bit absurd. How does a 3D printer just print out a house? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. However, housing with 3D printing has been logistically in the works since 2013. Back in 2013, DUS architects attempted, and are still working on, building the first 3D home. According to an article by Undecided, using mostly bioplastic as raw material, the architecture studio printed out some kind of Lego blocks and stuck them on top of each other. They used the FDM technique to build their 8 square meter micro house, which is still a huge accomplishment. It shows more promising possibilities into 3D printing and real estate. This then inspired other companies like Winscon, a Chinese company, which churned out 10 houses in 24 hours by giving recycled materials to a 3D printer. This happened around 2014. The houses ended up selling for ridiculously cheap, $5,000 a house. If this topic seems interesting to you, make sure to keep watching this video as we delve into the future of 3D printing houses. Make sure to give us a thumbs up to get more videos like this. It's been almost a full decade since 2013, so what has happened since? A group of Italian architects crafted a beehive-like structure out of locally sourced clay. To create this clay home, they developed software named WASP that allowed the simultaneous control and operation of 2 printing arms. They ended up mixing raw earth from that location with water. Then the 2 3D printers gushed out 350 layers of clay in a wave-like manner to ensure structural stability. The completed structure is described as 2 interconnected dome-shaped units, including an open-space living room and an ensuite bedroom. But building the structure of the unit is not the only thing WASP is known for. It's also known for printing furniture pieces like tables and chairs. They're still limited to only creating a single floor, no 2 stories yet. The group named their methods Tekla, which means linking technology and clay. Undecided also described the method as, the idea is that by building this house, no waste is generated, and at the end of its life, it fades away into the ground without a trace. It makes sense that when you consider that 3D printing minimizes construction waste, and that you can make clay easily disappear. And that's massive in terms of emission reduction compared to other 3D printed homes built out of concrete or plastic. The method of Tekla is to focus on sustainability. Housing has to be sustainable for people to lower the costs of utility and help people have environmentally safe living situations. The products have been able to adapt to other environments and climates, which these methods did achieve. As amazing as the achievements are, there are some cons to making a clay home, such as clay takes way longer to mold and dry than concrete, making the process of building take longer. The way the Chinese company created homes within 24 hours was by using 4 machines, versus 1 like Tekla. When a French studio created a 3D home, it took 54 hours to create the overall structure, but it took 4 months to hand place all the windows, doors, and etc. The pricing is also in an interesting place, where it's constantly changing. As quoted by Undecided, respectable publications reported that Icon would have a 3D printed house for as low as $4,000. However, when interviewed by the YouTuber Jarrett Ross, Icon's founder labeled that figure as a mishap. Nobody from the company team ever leaked that quote to any journalist. Instead, $450,000 is the more realistic price tag that Icon put on a housing complex developed in Texas, which I covered in my previous video on 3D printed homes. This is below the average price of standard homes in that area, yet the company 3D printed only the first floor, which they used stick framing for building the upper level. You may see why $450K is an underestimated figure. Another point that needs to be worked out over time is WASP cannot make everything a house needs. 3D printing has not been able to figure out a possible wiring, printing, or plumbing out of clay. The logistics made out of the sustainable material have not been able to mend the working items. However, researchers are constantly looking for sustainable options to continue 3D printing for overall 3D housing. To expand on previous thoughts, 3D printed housing is where the future of sustainable living is heading. With the housing market continuing to hit all-time highs and wages staying the same at all-time lows, it only makes sense for people to come up with new solutions for how to live. Housing as an industry has always been difficult environmentally. Triple Pundit weighed in by saying, building a typical two-bedroom house produces around 80 tons of carbon dioxide emissions, which is equal to the emissions of about 5 new cars. Building bigger buildings, such as commercial and industrial facilities, naturally creates more emissions. Sourcing the materials used and clearing land for homes has significant impacts as well. So if 3D printing takes a lot of the harmful resources and labor-intensive work out, why not rely more heavily on that? 3D printing houses are allowing us to cut emissions at a rapid rate. With 3D printing, we use less machinery, which relies on oil, producing more and more emissions. 3D printing is a single machine, or in the case of the Chinese corporation which used 4, it's still less than using cranes and concrete. With the newest discovery of using clay as an environmentally safe alternative to make these new homes, it's on a strong pathway for us learning about other safe alternative methods to use instead of relying heavily on concrete. The main word used throughout this video has been sustainability. With sustainability also comes efficiency. On this channel, we've discussed energy efficiency quite a lot, and it would make sense that with the less equipment and labor comes more energy efficient building. This seems to be the main goal with any new technology, to be energy efficient. Energy efficiency allows us to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, reduce demand for energy imports, and lower our costs on a household and economy-wide level. To wrap up this video, technology is constantly paving our path to the future. 3D printing is printing the materials to that pathway. With the new advancements of materials, it makes sense that we're venturing to what seemed impossible in literally printing out a full house. We're veering into creating environmentally sustainable and energy-efficient housing, which all roots to the building process. The more and more we look into the process, the more promising it's looking. The U.S. Department of Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, is even looking into investing in biomaterials that are able to heal themselves. That means you would be able to have a self-healing household. The fact we're living through these moments in real time is quite extraordinary. If you enjoyed today's video on the future of 3D printing, specifically in real estate, by all means give us a thumbs up. We want to make sure you're enjoying our content. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to watch our next video, The Unexpected Holy Grail on Energy, Nuclear Fusion, where we discuss an underrated version of energy efficiency. Hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe.